Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some singles from my collection. That would be my perfect palette. I have the shades in here, and then I do have one single as well. So we are going to definitely jump into that. But first, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I do upload 3 times a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss out. And let's just go ahead and jump right in. First, I do want to mention that this video is in collab with Drea from DreaCN here on YouTube. If you guys have not checked her out, you definitely are missing out. She is also a makeup related channel. She does tag videos, hauls videos. She comes back and does a rehaul, letting you guys know what she thought of the product she picked up. Project pan those eyeshadows, which she just started. She also does clothing haul try-ons. So if you guys are interested in anything beauty, makeup related, definitely check her out. You will not be disappointed. I love her channel. I actually found her through Alex. They're like this. So I have really been enjoying Drea's channel. So when she asked me to collab with her, I definitely was excited to do that. So again, if you're not subscribed to Drea's channel, definitely go check her out. Let her know I sent you. And then also, if you're coming from Drea's channel, welcome. My name is Mariela. So if you are not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing before you go. So Drea reached out to me and she asked me to collab to do our perfect palette using single shadows. She said we can pick anywhere from 12 to 15 shades. I had initially picked 13 and I was like, this is a weird number. Like, I need to pick one more. How are you gonna place like 13 shadows in a palette? I felt like I was probably gonna turn into like the Dose of Colors Treasured palette for a second. So I ended up picking 14 shadows, which one was a single. And then the rest, I did pick out shadows from the singles that are loose that I had in like magnetic palettes. So I do have this palette right here. It's kind of like a magnetic Z palette type. I got this from Amazon. It's super cool and cute. So this is what my perfect palette would look like if I had my perfect palette. And then also the single shadow right here. This is, I'm going to start off with this one right here. So I have a mix of brands of ColourPop, Sydney Grace, ABH, Coastal Scents. I think those are pretty much the ones. Oh, Makeup Geek. I think I have a Makeup Geek one too. So the first shadow I have here is the shade Ladybird. And this is a Super Shock shadow from ColourPop. So this one is what's in my inner corners. It's just kind of like a champagne-ish silver like glitter type. I feel like it's beautiful for the inner corners, and then also kind of just pat it on the lid to kind of give some shimmer so it's not so simple look. Here is the shade Ladybird, again from ColourPop. I think it's beautiful. I love applying like messily a matte shade in my crease and on my lid, and then kind of just applying it in the inner part. Like a shade like this I think is really, really beautiful. Next up, I did decide to pick like a matte cream shadow. Even though we have this shade in a lot of palettes, I feel like I really need like a base set your brow bone, set your eyeshadow primer color with this. So this is by ColourPop. This is in the shade Hear Me Out. So hear me out. We need one of these shades in our palette. Again, it's just like a basic, like an ivory type. It has a kind of like a hint of pink into it. I don't really care if it has pink or not. Like, I just need a base color like this, again, to be able to set my eyeshadow primer or to set my brow bone. I don't really set my brow bone, which I didn't do today, which I should have. But sometimes I go up too high with colors in my crease. So I like taking a color like this and be able to kind of diffuse it and make the color that you applied in the crease come down a little bit. So I definitely would have a shade, again, like a skin tone shade in my perfect palette. Next up, I do have the shade Pink Champagne from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Here is what the shade looks like. So it's also a shimmer shade, but it has a pink tint to it. So I do have kind of like my champagne-y, just kind of a little bit of sparkle. And then I do like the more pinky, champagne-y type of colors as well. I don't really apply a lot of like shimmer in my inner corners, usually on my lids, like for everyday use and like for work, when I was going to work. I like just applying something like this on my lid. Next up, I decided to pick this color from ColourPop in the shade I Owe You. It's like a, like an orangey, I don't know, like it kind of looks like an orange sickle kind of shade. I like these kinds of colors to apply like in my crease, just if I want like a simple look, but I do want some color and I don't want like a neutral brown. So here is what this one looks like. But I love these shades. Again, messily applied in the crease and on the lid, and even just taking my Ladybird shade and just kind of applying a little bit shimmer. And then as well, I'm going to show another shade in here that I like to use to deepen it. Next up, I have this shade right here, and this, whoa. This is in the shade Oktoberfest. This is by Coastal Scents, and this is like your typical like warm brown shade that you would pair in your crease. And I felt like these two shades would pair perfectly together because this can be applied in the crease, and then this I can use to deepen the crease as well. These are just my go-to. I think a lot of us go towards these like warm brown shades. So I really like these Coastal Scent Hot Pots. Some are hit and miss, but this shade in Oktoberfest is actually really nice. Next up, I have the shade called Dark Salmon. I used to say salmon, but my coworker corrected me. And it's also by Coastal Scents, and this is, I feel like, kind of like the more satin type of color. I like this color a lot because this is like a pinkish salmon kind of color. I don't know, I really like these tones as well for my crease, and I think it's a really pretty everyday kind of color. You guys can kind of see that I'm going towards the reds and the orangey colors. Like those are just my go-to kind of shades for everyday use. I was kind of thinking the other day, I was like, you have a lot of palettes that have burgundies and like purpley brown colors in a lot of your palettes. Like you need to calm it down on all those palettes you're buying, and they pretty much have the same color scheme in them. But those are just my go-to. That's what I reach for. A lot of people reach for neutrals. They have browns everywhere, but my collection, you'll see a lot of burgundies and like purpley brown, like deep in the outer corner kind of shades. Talking about a dark purplyish brown, here is one. This is one that I would use to smoke out the lash line or like apply in the outer corners to deepen up a look. I don't really like to use black. I never really use black, or like maybe like a chocolate brown I would reach for as well. But like for my perfect shade that I use to smoke out the lash line or the outer corner is pretty much like a blackened purple. So this is in the shade Blackberry by Coastal Scents, and you can see here that you can tell that it has purple in it. So this one I'm going to swatch right here. This is more of a cool tone shade, huh? But I feel like this color goes well like to deepen the look for this. If I had applied it in my crease, I just feel like it all goes together. I think it all just goes pretty and I have color, and it's not like a neutral look. So those are pretty much like the neutralish type everyday shades for me. I like color. I do wear color. So I decided to put some purples and greens in here as well. As you can see, I'm going to go over the bottom line now. This is by Makeup Geek. This is in the shade Blacklight, and this has like a duochrome, I believe. Yeah. So it's lavender, purple, like shifting to it. It's beautiful, and definitely been enjoying these kinds of colors. Like again, it's purple, but it has like dimension because it's like a duochrome kind of color. So definitely had to include it in my perfect palette. So I think this is really pretty on the lids in the inner corners for a little pop. Definitely had to include this. I also like to apply this kind of colors in my crease. This is the shade Vibrant Plum by Coastal Scents. I do find that this color is more drier than the other two that I just swatched, Blackberry and Oktoberfest, but I still really like it. Again, this is in the shade Vibrant Plum, and I like applying this kinds of tones in my crease as well. Color here, and then again it pairs perfectly in the crease with like these shades. I feel like this shade pairs beautiful with my neutrals, and then again with the purples definitely will work out. So I really like this color. Next up, I picked the shade Maroon Berry. Wow, I picked a lot of Coastal Scents. So this is deeper burgundy kind of color. This one feels a little drier as well compared to Oktoberfest and Blackberry, but these ones build up really nicely. So these shades are deep enough to kind of use for the outer corners to smoke out the lash line, and then also I can go light-handed and apply it in the crease. I think all these shades just pair super well together. So next up, I'm going with my greens. The first shade I have here is the shade Turtle Bay by Sydney Grace. I don't know, what kind of color would you describe this? but it's beautiful. So I thought this would pair super well with my greens that I picked out. So here is the Sydney Grace. I really like Sydney Grace shadows. They're really pigmented and they're really nice quality. So here is that. Again, my like wearable shades to me are purples and greens. So I definitely wanted to pick some of those shades for my perfect palette. Next up, I have the shade Megaldon, Megaldon, by Sydney Grace. So here's a swatch. This is also in the Melt Smoke Sessions palette, like this shade. It's so pretty. So here is a swatch. Look how beautiful that is. And again, I do have this on my lids. I definitely had to put this in my perfect palette. It's so pretty and it just packs that nice punch. And I feel like my eye look is pretty and I think it's wearable, but I feel like it's a little grungy as well. And I applied some of this next color in my crease as well, so it kind of just made my look a little more grungy. Definitely wanted to include this in my perfect palette because I just think it's just a beautiful shade. This is like a deep teal color, and this is from Makeup Geek in the shade Inner Peace. So here is this. I think it's so pretty and I thought it'd pair super beautiful with my greens as well. So beautiful. Like, how pretty is this shade right there? So this is in the outer corners and I also applied it in my crease to deepen up my crease and also on my lower lash line. I think it's just a beautiful shade. I do find that it's a little dry. I don't know if Makeup Geek has this shade in the square pans because she changed her round pans to the square. This is beautiful, definitely. And then lastly, I have one more shade for you, and this is also by Coastal Scents. So you guys can see Coastal Scents kills it. So if you guys are eyeing their hot pots, definitely recommend you guys picking them up. This one is in the shade Olivewood, and it's just like an olive shade. It's beautiful. I had to include this in my perfect palette of greens. So here is a swatch. How pretty is this color combo? Like, this is me. When I was doing this, I was thinking this kind of looks like Subculture a little bit, but like my own twist and shades that I like, with this one right here as well. Definitely would recommend you guys going through your singles and kind of creating your own perfect palette as well. This was really fun. Create my own palette, and I kind of want to like pick this palette for my next week's Shop My Stash because I think the shades are super pretty. I don't really use my single shadows. I always just use like pre-made palettes. So this was awesome for me to do, you know, something different and really look through my collection, pick out shades to create my perfect palette. So thank you so much, Drea, for collabing with me. This was really fun to create my perfect palette, and I definitely suggest you guys going through your collection and creating your perfect palette as well. I'm just gonna really quickly go through my eye look just in case I didn't really make sense throughout the video. So the first shade I went in was Oktoberfest in my crease, and then I also went in with Olivewood in my crease to kind of deepen it up, and then I went in with the Inner Peace in my outer corners, and then I also took a little bit of this and applied it in my crease as well to deepen up the crease. Then I went in with Megaldon in on my lid, and then lastly I went in with this shade called Ladybird from ColourPop in my inner corners. And then again, I went in with Inner Peace to my lower lash line, and then Oktoberfest to blend the lower lash line out. Really love my look. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you guys have these shades or similar shades and you want to recreate this look, definitely do so. So yeah, these are my picks for my perfect palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!